I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'll note for the record that this is a hybrid meeting and that the meeting is being recorded and all votes will be taken by roll call. So right now, the quorum is present with 7 voting members, either here in the room or online, and we'll deal with anybody that comes in as they come in. First order of business after that is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I did remember to put it on the agenda this time. So that's the June 18th minutes. We should all have a copy of those. I will, I don't know if anyone, does Susan have a problem getting on? So I'll take a motion to accept. I don't know if anyone sent any changes. Peter did, okay. So could I get a motion on the minutes? So moved by Bill Hall. Second by Stacy Gould. Any additions or corrections or deletions to the minutes other than what Peter sent? Hearing none, all in favor. Peter?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Rick? Yes. Mark? Yes. So we got 1, 2, 8. Thank you. The whole math thing difficult. Let's go. Public comment. Any members of the public here? I do not see any. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none. We'll move on. I will also note that Mayor Nystrom is here with us, as well as our vendors. Public, let's see, we're done with that. Report from CSG. So going to lay it out here.
The first one, the report format's changed a little bit just to try and make it a little easier for everyone to read. Design development drawing package has been estimated and reconciled by Downs Tarbell, which DRA is estimating.
So Mike, speak up a little bit.
The design development drawing package has been estimated and reconciled by Downs Construction and Tarbell Construction. Tarbell is DRA's estimating consultant. The summary sheet for the estimate are included after the report, and I'm sure Downs and DRA may touch on that later in their updates. The project was approved at the June special CCP meeting on June 26th for special permit.
Mark, who wrote there?
The first state payment request has been submitted for reimbursement. A copy of the payment request is attached after for your review. Basically, the total expected payment, and I didn't put it on this report, for standing is $837,473.50. Yes. And for upcoming activities, construction document phase commenced. Design team will continue developing most of it. The next page is the project budget update for expenditures through last month, excluding any city expenditures that may have hit the account. To date, we've spent $1,356,946.20. The next page is the standing design development estimate, and then the page after that is a copy of the state payment request that was submitted today. Going over to Greenville, same general notes. Design development drawing package been estimated and reconciled by Downs and Tarbell. Project was approved at the June special CCP meeting on June 26th for special permit. First state payment request has been submitted for reimbursement. A copy of the core CT payment request screen is attached for review. Construction document phase is commenced. Design team continue developing these drawings. At the end of the packet, a copy of the district program budget has been included. We'll get into that at the end. Then the next page is the Downs design development estimate, and then the page after that again is the core CT payment request screen. So then the next project in the list takes us over to Moriarty. the grant application package was submitted to the state for consideration for a school construction grant on June 28th, which was before the deadline of June 30th. Project estimates have been updated, reflecting a lower elementary school enrollment. That was reviewed with district administration. At the end of the packet, there's an enrollment analysis that indicates a new enrollment of 541 students may be possible, pending a review by a certified demographer. All of the analysis data that you'll see was taken from these two reports and historical district enrollment. Upcoming activities, enrollment data will continue to be analyzed and confirmed to determine if the building can be built smaller. Attention points: a proposal for peer review of the enrollment data from the master plan enrollment report update and district historical enrollment is provided at the end of the packet for consideration, as well as the district enrollment analysis.
So at least from, I read from the email anyway, that
I'll go into all. So that takes us to Uncas, same general notes. Grant application was submitted on June 28th for consideration of school construction grant. Project estimates have been updated, reflecting a lower elementary enrollment. School enrollment has been reviewed by the district administration. Current enrollment analysis indicates a new enrollment of 541 may be possible, pending a review by a demographer. A copy of the estimate summary is included. That's not. Enrollment data will continue to be analyzed and confirmed. Proposal for peer review is at the end of the packet. A copy of the current district enrollment analysis is provided, and a copy of the district program budget is included at the end of the packet. New project on the list for this month is Teachers Global Magnet Middle School. I'm leaving it on now as design and construction of a new or renovated as new middle school facility on the Teachers Middle School site. CSG, in coordination with our estimator, has been developing cost estimates for either a renovated as new middle school or a new middle school on the site of the current Teachers Middle School. Middle school enrollment has been analyzed in coordination with district administration to establish the size of the new school. Currently, the analysis has yielded an enrollment of 500 students or 84,000 square feet, which is the allowable space standard. The state will allow us to build a middle school too, with based on a 500 student enrollment, and there's estimate data at the back of the packet. And again, the proposal for peer review and all of those things are included. There's 2 copies of the concept estimate, one for a renovated new option and one for a new option. And then if you flip to the next, then a couple pages after that, there's a table with the CSG logo on the top of it that says City of Norwich School Construction Program Budget and Original Enrollment. So if you go through that, the first column is the school, the second column is the enrollment as we had put it through for the grant applications. The third column is the master plan estimate for the projects. Then there's a grant application estimate as to the amounts that were actually submitted for grant consideration to the state. Notice that the Teachers Middle School and Huntington Central Office are considered at the original grant application, or the original master plan costs, as well as the SD and DD estimate. The SD and DD estimate are updated, reflecting the most accurate costs from the schematic design estimate into the design development estimate. So the original master plan estimate was 385. When you take into consideration the grant application estimates for Stanton and Greenville at 66 and 60 million respectively, as well as the grant application estimates for Moriarty at 80.5 million, and Uncas at nearly 82 million, as well as the Teachers in Huntington costs from the original master plan estimate. We're basically at $412,981,929, When you go to the next phase of the estimate, it's at 434,997,998. And then we drop slightly at the DD estimate to 434,405,578. The next table in the packet is a construction program budget with the enrollment analysis and teachers middle school as a new school option. So when you look at the first column is school, the second column is the enrollments that myself and the district administration felt in concept could work. Again, haven't been confirmed by a demographer and still need to be confirmed by a demographer. The grant application estimate, when you use the new numbers that would be proposed for Moriarty and Uncas and use the old numbers that were proposed for Huntington Central Office and Adult Ed and the contingency, we're at 379. When you go to the SD estimate, the numbers go up based on the increased cost for Stanton and Greenville. We're then at 398,315,000. And then when you get to the DD estimate, it slightly drops down to $397,723,123. And then the third page is the entire school construction program budget with enrollment analysis and the teachers middle school as a renovate as new concept, keeping the existing building. Again, master plan estimate 385 million, grant application estimate with the new revised number from, I should have said that before. So the revised number from teachers with what we feel is an updated, a more accurate enrollment and size of the teachers middle school building. The cost of teachers drops from 99 million from the master plan down to 78 million and change by going with the new option. So then back to that page that I was originally describing. Again, master plan estimate in the first column, grant application estimate in the second column with teachers middle school, and that should say renovate as new.
Does at the top.
Yeah. What should have said it wouldn't break. This is me being a perfectionist. So the grant application estimate would be at 371 million and change. When you get over to the SD estimate, it goes up to 389 million, 389.5 million. And then when you get to the DD estimate, it drops slightly down to 388 million, 966,566. Again, these numbers are based on enrollment numbers that are reflected in the enrollment column that are based on enrollment analysis that's on the next page. So they all still need to be confirmed by a professional demographer to ensure that the analysis that myself and the district administration ran it is valid. So in some of the findings in the next page is the district-wide enrollment analysis. So yes.
Why aren't we comparing apples to apples? You eliminate from the SD and DDS, you have the has dropped to zero. So $3.5 million.
Because there's no contingency amount available because all of the contingency amount is being put towards the projects which are already over the original authorization.
Yeah, that money was it's the original estimate in the master plan was not 385 million, it's 381.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Josh in his wisdom decided to
Round it
write the
off.
referendum up to 385. So that
So
that
you
would be-
and that would be absorbed in the cost
Into the new costs.
because of the inflationary effect.
Yes.
Okay.
So there have been a lot of meetings about
One second. Now, all those schools all still have contingency built in for the construction manager in the
design and estimating contingency for the architect.
Yeah.
And they're fully loaded estimates. And our estimator was on site on.
I just want to be clear, everyone
Yeah.
clear on.
Our estimator was on site on the 9th to look at the school, we walked through the entire building, looked at the layout of it, and looked at potential to try and come up with the potential costs, either build a new school on the property there, which would likely be on the fields, and if it was to go forward, or to take that building and renovate it as new. The one part that I will say that I was unable to determine, and potentially someone from DRA might be able to assist, the master plan estimate for the teachers middle school was somewhere around 87,000 square feet for the building with a 40,000 square foot addition, which would hold a lot more students than 500. So I'm not entirely sure if something else that I may not be aware of was taken into consideration as to
I know at the time, I will tell you at the time, we were talking about a small addition.
Well, it was an 87,000 square foot base number with a 40,000 square foot addition for a total of 128 change.
I'm almost thankful for that.
So, yes. So with regards to that, basically, when we started realizing that there was a serious budget, implication to everything that's going on here, what I started was going through the district enrollment reports that we had to date, to try and see if anything would make itself clear from that effort. So again, basically, if you go to the next page, which is a district-wide enrollment analysis, all of your actual enrollments for all of the individual schools are highlighted in yellow lines in the table in your report. These are historical numbers that were provided by, I believe, the registrar's office, and not the group that reports to the state. But not here nor there. Basically, the green lines above are from the original master plan enrollment report, which had all of the school enrollments broken out on a school by school basis. If you remember back when we did the demographics update last April, they had given us the option to either redo the district enrollment report based on a cumulative summary, which would be the total district enrollment population, or on a school by school basis. In our opinion, and I believe the committee's opinion, why we elected to go with the option of the summary of the total district enrollment, it doesn't really make a difference to anyone how much the enrollment would be at Wequonic going forward, because Wequonic won't be there. So then we had them update the summary sheet from the master plan, which is reflected in the orange bar in the table. That's the demographic update that we did last April, and the 2396 figure is what the elementary enrollment was based upon. So if you extrapolate that out, 597 plus 597 plus 601 plus 601 gets you to the 2396. Unfortunately, with the master plan enrollment report, as well as the district-wide demographic study update, I believe there may have been some type of a formula error from the years of 2023 to all the way out, all the way to the end of the data. So if you look at the two green lines above the orange line, what you'll find is that the exact numbers between those two numbers is 202 students all the way across. So the individual summary sheets were not updating correctly to the master summary sheet. And as a result, we used an inflated enrollment figure that's likely and should be confirmed by another demographer that was 202 students higher than the number that we should have been using. And if you take 202 away from 2396, divide it by 4, which we no longer can do because the two schools have reached a point of design where we can't go back and build them smaller. The only choice that we have moving forward is to lower the enrollment at Moriarty and Uncas to reflect the savings in the enrollment, which fortunately, when you reduce the enrollment size, the square footage of the building comes down, And then the construction cost also comes down. And then when that gets further extrapolated out at the teachers' middle school, if you look, so basically in conversations with the district, and this again will be confirmed by the demographer, we set the elementary enrollment at 2275 based on the historic figures that we had, which is in the yellow bar, 3 lines above the green bars in the sheet. The highest number we had was 2251. We capped it at 2275, which could be light, could be right in the realm, but we want a demographer to confirm that again. And then what I used was the 2275 number. The new enrollments had the estimates that we did for the grant application phase for Uncas and Moriarty updated to reflect the smaller building size to get a new estimate that reflected a smaller size building. So that's where the savings come from on Uncas and Moriarty. Now, before I keep going, does anyone have any questions as to the logic behind this? And
I have a question on the enrollment, but I'm wondering, what is the built-in CM's contingency projects? How much percent?
for
You know, this,
that,
I'm not sure.
those are all reflected on the, so there's still a good amount of contingency built into Stanton Greenville. There's an owner contingency right now at the schematic design level of $3,505,983.
Is that the owner side?
That's the owner side contingency, yes. There's,
Get that,
and then there's still a,
CM contingency.
there's a construction contingency at 3%. There's, yeah, 3. Because that was the number that they bid on at the time of bid. And then there's still a 5% design and estimating contingency. So on both of these first 2 estimates, obviously the number is going to fluctuate, and there's an escalation amount still built into these estimates as well. You're still up around $10–11 million on Greenville and Stanton. Then when you contingency, design and estimating contingency will go away once we have final construction drawings and bid numbers. Construction contingency will be updated based on the amount of the GMP and the direct trade costs, and the owner contingency will take anything that's left over from at the next phase of estimates to bid. So if we bid the project that comes in $2 million under budget, that value would then get returned back to the owner contingency for any changes that happen as the project goes on. And you'll see in full transparent detail from estimate to estimate where all of the money is. All right. Yes.
Assuming everything was static, under the original master plan estimate of 385 million that we bonded, we were going to expect the contingency to return to us of 3.5 million. So the actual
If
construction
it's not
costs,
used.
the actual construction costs of the original 6 buildings is going to be 381.5. Is that correct?
It's about right.
I mean, I would disagree with that only because the contingency amount was left there to be used for overruns on any of the projects. I would have,
Well, assuming there were no overruns, because you're assuming that final figures in the SD and the D, right?
okay,
So to equalize the numbers, we gotta start looking at the original cost was not gonna be 385, it was gonna be 381.5. And then looking at the final numbers without the contingency, because you already absorbed that. So really the difference between the 2 figures, we don't start from 385, we start from 381.5 to see what the total increase is with the final numbers. And which of the 2 numbers do you feel is the better estimate, the SD or the DD?
the DD is definitely better because the drawings are more developed.
Okay.
It's a complete, there's 6 months of time in between the estimates, basically, that the designers added more details to the drawings and, you know, the value management exercise that we completed for the first estimate is now fully born into the drawings. Because rather than coming up with a hypothetical value, that work has been physically removed from the drawings as a value management item. So now when the construction manager estimated the second portion of the project or the DD phase drawings, rather than coming up with assumptions as to what these things would cost, they're estimating a set of drawings where those items physically aren't there to estimate.
Okay,
So,
so really the difference when we we have to sell this to the taxpayers or make economic sense somehow. So really, the original construction cost was gonna be, say, 381.5. And we're ending up, say, on the last sheet here.
I'd be very hesitant to go to anyone that's part of the tax base and tell them that the amount of money is anything less than 385.
so
No.
here's where I was,
Yeah.
here's where my question, because I kind of just thinking ahead thought a little bit.
Okay.
The road that Mark's going down. What I was looking for was that the CM's estimates on DD, okay? Though that contingency is really for construction costs over, right? And this contingency that you have in this.
Yeah, they're not over.
So the thing,
Additional.
the thing you need to understand, it's more or less scope gaps, any overrun, like if there was.
You gotta dig a foundation and there's a huge boulder
Yeah.
there, we gotta move that, you know,
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah, that's in my mind, there's things that
Changes.
can get a little out of shape during construction. That costs a little bit of money to.
Right.
Right, and then there is straight up escalation, inflationary.
Correct.
costs that are being treated separately, is
Correct.
really where I was going.
Correct, and there's also,
That's what I, that's what I.
and Joe, there's also a design contingency that's held in there. For things that may not be fully developed, right? So if you have a door frame without a door,
Right.
that would be picked up by something like that. That's a simple example of it's far more complicated than that. So did I answer all of your questions, Mark?
Well, not really, because the numbers are like $10 million off between master plan and grant application estimates.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, there's a $14 million difference.
right. It's more, it's more than that, depending on where you're looking. And the reason for that was, you know, the same discussion that we had regarding all the grant application estimates. There's, you know, the construction cost increases due to COVID, the fact that, you know, escalation has increased. I mean, there's just a variety of factors that got us from if you go to the first table, from the first table from the 66 million to the 81 million, right? That we had to re-benchmark the estimates, because if we went again with a cost estimate to the state based on the original master plan estimates without the escalation in construction cost increases built in, we would have never hit the mark.
Yeah, and I guess the 10-word answer is, Mark, that these numbers, it was an iterative process, right? Because these numbers kept updating because the design became more and more refined.
Right.
So that's why there's different.
Right, whether it's a 1-story building or 3-story building.
Well,
Even just the layout.
And the layout.
Materials are being chosen.
but I think that better identifies the cost for Greenville and Stanton. For Moriarty and Uncas, it was more of a pure escalation in construction cost increase from the original grant application. You're gonna see movement again when we get to the construction documents, and you're gonna hopefully see movement downward when we actually bid the projects. Now that I can't guarantee, and I don't think anyone in this room can.
Yeah, and the change in the design, I mean, moving hallways, making them 3 inches narrower has a cost effect.
Right. Yeah, and materials have a cost impact, you know, logistics have every bit of it has a cost impact as we move.
Like moving or, having to work around. That's an impact. Now, say we were able to shut down a wing, well, we may be able to generate savings. If by the time we get into Uncas, and we can literally shut down that school and demo it because we have enough swing space, that would be a cost, that would potentially be a cost saving. Those kind of issues that come up, we can,
Right,
generate
without having
some additional
students on site.
Right.
It
Right.
demo very quickly.
Exactly.
And that's,
So I mean, but those are, right now, like the stand situation is kind of problematic. I think we all know we have
Yeah.
that with that, but so may not be too much there, but there's a chance that we'll be able to do some other things, as we go along in the project.
so the other thing, so the other component to the cost savings and the larger component of the cost savings is what we anticipate could happen if it's confirmed by a demographer at teachers' elementary or middle school. So the original master plan estimate was up at $99,053,936, which contemplated building a 128,000 and change middle school. When Susan and I started looking at the enrollment figures, the main purpose for us to look at the enrollment figures was to try and pinpoint the middle school enrollment. The middle school enrollment was important because we needed to know how big that building actually needed to be, rather than just going off of the 128,000 square feet. So in contemplating that, we analyzed the district enrollment, and then I started using the So in doing that, basically what we found out was that Kelly Middle School between 2020 and 2021 had 651 students. So we met with the principal and assistant principal, who I believe were in the school at the time, asked them how 651 students work. They said that it worked, they could make it work. So once we had the 651 students, basically now whatever's left in the district enrollment would be how much we needed to build teachers to. So if you look at the 5 years of historical district enrollment, the highest number is 1056. So when we did this exercise, we capped the total district enrollment for 6 to 8 at 1150, which is basically another 100 students to try and capture anything that may happen within the demographic information. 10%. If there wasn't any rationale to it more than, and
Fudge factor.
if you will, because I needed to give you something, that would be as realistic as humanly possible. The two estimates, if you look at the estimate detail for the renovated new and new option, are fully built out. There's temporary classrooms in there, there's utility costs based on the historic utility costs. I used the basis from NPU to come up with those costs. District bonding costs have been updated based on the bonding amount as if it was a 67.14. There's contingencies all over it because of how conceptual in nature it is. And we were going strictly off the information that was provided to us by DRA as to the compliance issues with the building, ADA, stair towers potentially needing to be replaced because they're non-compliant. There needing to be a second elevator within the building. We looked at everything. The site, obviously as someone that has more of a construction background, I would prefer to see the district go with a new option just because it's easier to do, and swing space comes at a premium and it's not reimbursable by the state, and you're getting a better building that may not have as many problems when you start renovating it. So there's a variety of factors to the point of that $10 million being worthwhile for the city. But with the budget situation that we're in right now, I'm just throwing that out there, and it's really not here nor there. I think potentially too, you're going to need to do something with the parent and bus drop off at that facility, just based on the way that it appears that it operates. Doesn't necessarily look like it operates in the most efficient manner possible. Maybe the break for that.
I've said the whole time, new building,
is better.
It's better. Yeah.
It would fix a lot of issues.
Yeah.
That
but,
Well, a lot of kids walked to school.
Okay,
When that building
yeah.
was built.
right, and to that point, a renovated option, depending on what was designed and what concept came up with, what is come up with, you potentially could change the entire parent drop-off loop.
Are you look, what do you look?
I'll look at-
Planning zone, no, that's 23 Union Street.
23 Union
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah.
Basement.
So, basically, in getting down to the 650 number from Kelly, and then extrapolating out the 1150 total middle school enrollment, you're left with 500 students or thereabout. And then when you run 500 students through the state space standard, you come up with a middle school at 84,000 square feet. And that's what these estimates are based on, and that's where the majority of the savings came from. 99 to 69 million on the renovated new option, and 99 million down to 78 million on the new on the entire new facility option. So based on what's going on with district-wide enrollment, the master plan enrollment report, the updated summary report that we received from Proper, which I still believe has some of the mathematical errors in it. We took it one step further and contacted a demographer to give us a proposal to do a peer review of the enrollment information that's been provided. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to look at the demographic study report from the original master plan, and then they're going to go into the demographic study report that we had updated. And they're going to go through all of it, look at all the methodology that was used, the numbers that are included in it, and provide us some type of a summary as to their findings. And what that'll do is it'll confirm the enrollment to give us the correct sizes for the 541 students that we're projecting for the 2 new elementary schools at Uncas and Moriarty, as well as the district enrollment for the middle school population. It's based on a not to exceed at $225 an hour for 10 hours, just to analyze everything that's been done. They know what they're getting into. I've given them all this information. It's all gone very quickly because, when we started.
It's like 2 weeks
It says in here.
from the time we sign up.
It says in here 2 weeks. Obviously, we had some discussions. I think maybe it may have just been with you, Mark. CSG has an allowance value built into our contract for what's called Multi-Vista, which was a photography company that comes in and documents the construction as it's going on. The way we kind of look at it is that in some ways it's a double wash, because we're also going to get photographic documentation from the construction manager as well as built, and if we were to use some of that money to apply to this, it would be faster for us to get the proposal going, because now if everyone knows, ordinances have been introduced to adjust the referendum, and based on the deadline as to when those ordinances need to be voted on, I believe I heard September 3rd last night.
That's the latest.
That's the latest.
Right, so I need something sooner than September 3rd in order to either move forward with those ordinances or not. And potentially the outcome of this could change one of the ordinances to a lesser amount than 40 million, because it may, or 50 million, because that may not be necessary given this information if the enrollment checks out, but it's very hypothetical.
Or make the
different things.
Yeah, right, or make them unnecessary, which is the main goal, to try and get away from them altogether.
Right.
Yeah,
But I just want to say it out loud. I don't know that anyone would disagree that the primary goal here is to get this project built for 385.
right. That's
Or less.
and not less,
Yeah.
not 385 less.
Yeah, no, 385 4.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the case. That's certainly been the goal since we started.
Right.
So summing up, basics from the original 385. keeping all the projects with the new numbers, if we just renovated new teachers, it's about a $4 million difference, 385.
Which, to be honest with you, we've always looked at Huntington
Yes.
as kind of something that we could, you know, plunge on, you know, do a little less or whatever.
And
So-
conversations have gone on, Susan, about potentially what would be necessary at Huntington. Because a similar thing happened recently when at Bishop.
Yeah.
And the cost to renovate Bishop for its purpose currently, I believe, wasn't close to 25 million. But, you know, given that information, potentially if the Huntington central office and adult ed space was a more minimal, less comprehensive renovation, it's in everyone's best interest, because the reimbursement on a central office and adult education is 50% of the district's reimbursement. So if it's 67.14%, it's less.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so, but if it's 80%, it's 40. If it's 67.14, it's 33.
But you can get legislation.
No, we obviously, right now, the way things stand, the first two schools are at 80%. The next, and we are shooting to have the rest of the schools done also at 80%. What we would have in the central office, I don't know if we've had that conversation at all, but I know it's Kathy's intent to get the whole project done at 80%. So, Kathy, awesome. So, we'll,
Which is done all the time.
yeah, which is, well, it's done on a pretty regular basis, but especially with distressed municipalities or large.
So just before we keep going, the main thing that I want to make clear,
This is,
I am not a demographer in the least. I know how to build buildings and know a little bit about design. I don't know anything about counting kids and projecting birth rates and trends of people moving in and out of the city. It's not something that I do on a normal basis. So this analysis is done strictly based on, district and historical enrollment figures for a 5-year period from 2018 to 2024-25. And basically all that the analysis has indicated to us is that there may have been a mathematical error going from the individual sheets to the summary sheets, as well as the fact that if you go to the individual sheet totals, that the district enrollment might not be growing as much as was originally projected by the original.
it was pretty static.
But it may be declining versus staying static. But again, only off of a 5-year period, it can't be considered that this is, all right, we're moving forward. The new middle school is going to cost us 69 million, because if someone turns around and tells any of us that building needs to be built for 525, throw the number out the window. If anyone tells us that the numbers need to be more than 541 at Uncas and Moriarty,
But you did,
throw it out the
you
window.
built 100 students into the middle school.
I built 100 into the middle school and about 25 into the historical enrollment for the other, because
For the 2 elementaries or 1?
the total elementary enrollment, I built in 25 extra kids, because
So the figures you're giving us tonight are Mike's back of envelope.
They're not even-
Yeah.
No, they're a little more than back of the
no,
envelope.
professional cost estimators have reviewed this.
Right.
It all
But
starts,
it's all based on the
it
demographic.
all
data.
starts with this chart, and I'm not a demographer.
Right.
So again, I'll say it 50 more times tonight, I am not a demographer.
So these are
Everything
very
is tied,
preliminary, depending on the demographic.
yes,
So
100% tied to the demographic information.
So before we move on,
Oh, hang on, we should get a speaking since you're getting it. Well, what's the question?
Okay.
yeah,
People.
so the other thing that we be honest, I'm not really saying that this to me, this is more directed at Mark and at Susan at home, is that we also need to take a look at what other monies are available for HVAC, air quality, and so on and so forth, that would be outside of this particular project. So I got I got 2 phone calls today from our legislative delegation. And we're talking exactly about that. There are other pots of money out there for those kinds of specific projects. Not so much for the schools that we're building, but for money in particular. And that money outside of the bond, might be available to us, or when I say across the city, the district,
Right, and
for upgrading.
There's one more HVAC grant supposedly coming out. So.
And that must have been.
and
But that,
They open it, they're planning to open it in August, close it in December.
and if I'm not, I can't remember the exact language, but I'm not sure if the HVAC grant qualifies for central office space.
Right, but it's gonna be adult.
I don't believe it would, it may not cover that either because of the community. I would have to check into it, but the last time I looked at it, and I've been up on it since the very first iteration, it's only for areas where students and they may have changed this, but there's also other programs that we can look into that Josh has filled me in from the federal government. You know, there's other energy incentive programs that we can look at, but you know, the thing to remember about any time that you get additional funding in from outside sources, outside of this.
But I think Joe's referring to separate school. We can't put this into any of the schools that we're
Right.
looking at.
Yeah,
right,
He's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about separate.
Yeah, if there was one.
Right, and I think one of those HVAC grant programs was probably geared towards the inspection and evaluation cost.
Well,
the new one coming out is for new equipment.
Okay.
all three iterations of it, the basis of the requirement for you to get one of those grants was that you did all kinds of engineering analysis on the building to prove that you had an indoor air quality issue, and then they would give you funds to fix it. So if you tore a rooftop unit off, you would get however far you had to cut the roof out, any ductwork that you needed, if you needed to tear a ceiling down, move piping, anything that was related to physically improving the air quality was part of the project. And anything that wasn't, they wouldn't even consider.
I know they changed the standards for that inspection and evaluation process.
The process and requirements as to how you submit it has changed.
Yeah, we're
Very
out
involved.
of Stoker has, so
Was there any, does anyone else have any other questions regarding?
One question on the enrollment. So it seems that year 22-24 is sort of an anomaly on this sheet. Because our enrollment is going up by 175 students in 23-24. And then in 24-25, we're losing.
So if you look at the asterisk and it's not reflected on the bottom of this table because it probably didn't print properly. The 24-25 numbers are from the district or are projected enrollments. They're not completely ironed out yet. So they're still enrolling students to my understanding. And all of the enrollment data that I received from the district was caveated with an asterisk that said that they're still enrolling students.
So when we get to the point that we actually update numbers for grant applications and
Yeah.
stuff, those numbers have to be taken from the October 1st date, 2024. So, so that'll be, once the next section starts.
Yeah.
So we can't use like this demographic information. I mean, we can use it for estimating purposes, but when we get down to brass tacks for doing the grant applications and stuff, we have to get numbers based on that October 1st date.
So the answer to a question then is, it's not that 23-24 school year, and it was a bubble. It's just that this coming school year, we don't know exactly how many kids are going to be there because they're still enrolling kids.
You could, you can also make,
23-24. Had a jump of about 170 students. From the previous year. Okay, so if your enrollment in 22-23, these are actual numbers, was 2,084 students. And now they're saying 23-24, they had 2251. And now they're projecting, and I understand this number is fluid, that it's 2,077 students. It's 175 student jump in 1 year.
right, But if you go back to 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, if you look at those historical figures, they're relatively close to the jump that's being indicated. So when we did,
But it's just 1 year that we have all of a sudden have 175 students, and next year, we didn't have them last year, we got 175 students now, and then we're.
Yeah.
Just to make this confusing, I asked the superintendent if there was an increase from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year. Because I heard different numbers. She said, beginning of the year was, this is 3,088, and at the year we ended 33,054.
total enrollment, middle school, that's got
This is
Total enrollment, pre-K through eight.
Oh.
Elementary and middle.
Yeah.
and
that's what she
I
said.
don't have long, I can analyze those figures as well, but I think they're reflected in the table, so. Everyone should understand that I tried to go as conservative as possible with this, so that there wouldn't be me coming back to you next month and saying, hey, you know, sorry. And if there's one area that I might be light on, would be the elementary enrollment and not the middle. The middle was padded higher because we were contemplating a new school versus a renovated new school. You know, but even based on the 5 years of historical data that we have, I think we're in, you know, relatively good shape.
Any other questions for Mike?
How much is the analysis?
Oh, yeah, wait, so hang on 1 second, folks. So there's, we're hoping, we want to include it in, you know, as part of, you know, CSG, so we just kind of modify what is in their scope, or and include it in that, so
Yeah.
no additional funds. No additional.
Yeah, no, it is.
Just a photography, that's a duplication.
225, right?
2250
Yeah, I was gonna say 225,
Per-
10 hours, right?
for an analysis of this. Now, if the analysis yields that they feel that more research is needed, and more than likely, I will be coming back to you. Because by the time we go for the grant application, or you or whoever is hired to do the grant application for teachers, I would hope it would be me, but I was just a shameless self promotion there real quick. You know, we'll you know, we would need additional enrollment data from a certified.
You're scoring more points this week.
I was hoping, yes.
Did the corner schools and then we did teachers.
Renovated.
Yeah.
What would that cost right now?
So if you go to the second page before the middle page. Basically where the column all the way to the right, it says City of Norwich Construction Program Budget with an enrollment analysis, teachers, middle school, new school at the top heading.
No, renovated new.
No, she said new school.
You said new school or renovated?
Renovate.
Renovate.
Oh, okay, it's the
So
third
the
page.
next page.
Yeah.
Approximately 4 million.
What?
3 million.
Approximately.
Yeah, about $4 million over. So,
4 million from.
yeah, that's not doing any value engineering, or I know we're, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry, you had that look. Okay. You had that look, probably.
So, you know, it was more or less to try and, the analysis was to try and support this committee and the city, and, you know, proving that potentially, you know, if the enrollment checks out, then we're in a better position than we have before.
I mean, these are all, I mean, Mike met with Susan, and this is certainly, you know, numbers that have been hashed out, and they've given some, you know, thought over, and but but like Mike said, he's not a demographer. So,
Okay.
you know, it's,
That's seven
So
or
we need, but it does give us a rough idea on the renovate and the build this new.
So-
Build this new figure is about 12.7 million.
and that's with 25 million for tons.
We have to add
Right.
preschool.
No,
No, that's.
no preschool
Right.
fully vetted. The enrollment for preschool is in this at a slightly inflated figure than what we discussed today. If you go to the demographic update, and I was actually a part of this demographic update. If you go to the pre-K enrollment, in the demographic update, we were up at 347 pre-K students for the district. Pre-K enrollment is very difficult to try and, a demographer typically won't provide demographic projections for pre-K because it's an elective program and it's really hard to calculate how many people would be there. So the way a preschool, and this is new information to me and maybe new information to everyone else, the way a pre-K program is typically developed is based on the size that a district has to enroll pre-K students rather than how many kids you are anticipating coming.
Students just shared that they're looking at having 332 pre-K
That-
slots.
That's exactly where I was
That's a
about to go.
target number.
The firm that we're looking at to do the demographic update has already been provided with that information as well as all the information for you in the packet and everything else.
Susan, anytime you can unmute and chime in, you know. Just so you.
Other question down there at all?
So Mike, can I just say one thing? So I just want to make sure that we, and I know Mike talked a lot about this, is that we did meet with administration at Kelly Middle School on Friday. And we did look at the whole map and classrooms and we did figure, Mike, I think our first figure was 675 kids, but we were being conservative. We went with 650 for Kelly Middle School and 500 for Global. And that's how we came up with, to cut the square footage from Global. And then, you know, Mike and I have been going back and forth, and the school readiness program for the slots is 332. I believe the original figure was 340 something, Mike, is that correct?
Yes. Well, not the original, it's from the demographics update, because the original master plan had the pre-K enrollment flatlined out at 100.
Yeah, much less.
Yeah.
That's what we went through.
Early
It's
on.
all in a rehash.
No,
Now, Susan, did those numbers reflect the increase in anticipated increase in bringing more sped students back into either the STARS or Strive or whatever programs those are?
So the kids in STARS, we already have kids in STARS, so they're already in our programs, and it's all team now. So those numbers are already included.
yeah, and Mark, the other thing you should probably understand about this, and I would have to go through this, but my understanding is that outplaced students still would have appeared on these demographic reports because they're still Norwich students, whether or not.
Still
they're
Norwich
out-
students, yes.
Or they're still within the district.
All right.
So if they're outplaced, they're still included in these numbers because they have to be counted as a Norwich Public School student.
So there is actually space accounted for them. Those student numbers would be added into the total square foot of the building.
They're already factored in.
Okay.
They're already factored in.
Anyone else? I'd like to move this along. Good idea. Okay.
Sorry for the long.
No, this was necessary. Certainly, this gives us some hope. Obviously, I mean, I will say that from these numbers, if we went to the renovating new for teachers, and which is kind of tough to do, but you know. Think about, I know Greg would like to bring it to, but
building do this everywhere else.
yeah, I get it. So I think it's kind of problematic to, you know, just for where we put in the students.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, can I just add one thing about Huntington? So I know that that's 25 million. I don't really know how much what we need to do in that building. I can tell you that I don't anticipate, I've had a conversation with Mike about this, that we need to do that much renovation within Huntington to make it conform with whatever we have to do with central office and adult ed. So I just want to put that out there too.
No, I mean, that's something we've been considering from the get-go in this project, Susan, so that, we thought that, we could probably get away with, spending less in Huntington if we needed a fudge factor, but we were way out of that consideration in your previous numbers, so, but certainly now we're in that range. Thank you. With that,
I think the mayor may have a question.
Peter, do you have something you want to? No, you good?
Okay.
All right. Anyone else with anything before we move on to DRA? You're up, Jim. Not bad, Karen. Oh, yeah, no, hang on, let's, now, the issue is, we don't have to, authorize any additional funds. But we do have to authorize a change in the CSB scope, that they're gonna be allowed to take that money from,
Stand.
specifically, multi-business. From the Stanton account to cover this. Everyone understand that? Can I get a motion for that, please? So moved by Bill Hull. Can I get a second by Greg Harrowby? Any other discussion on that issue? Hearing none. Pete, huh?
Can you specify what it was?
To allocate, to allow CSG to reallocate money from Multivista and their spec to cover the enrollment peer review. That's what we're talking about.
You have an idea of the cost?
Yeah, it's included in the package. It's gonna 2250, 10 hours of work.
Yeah, that's it. So, Pete Gauthier. You get on mute. I muted you, all right. You're getting back, thank you. Let's see, Bill Hull.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
I'm losing. Stacy.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Joe.
Yeah.
Greg. Mark, yes. Unanimous. All
Who
right.
was here?
And Sheila, I'm sorry, I forgot Sheila's out of state.
Yeah.
Sheila,
Yes,
thank you. So, all right, that about covers that. Now, Jim, be all right. Let me bring it up here. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I always do this. Get to share. And shaking. Yeah, well, I had to select. I see. Yeah, so I have a bunch of stuff on there. Okay. Let me just move this over. All right.
This is, I don't see the band around.
Oh, no, I hit the next slide. Oh, right.
The share, the guys at home, they can see it.
Can you guys see the, Peter, can you see the DRA report? Sorry.
yes.
Okay, everybody can see it.
Yeah, yes, I can see it.
Thank you all. I'll move really quickly because Mike touched on a bunch of this and I know Downs has a package ready to go after me. 3 items. Let's start with the first. If you go to the next and bring it over. We shared this at the last meeting. This was the design development package that was put together for Greenville. Next slide showed some sampling of the drawings, over 300 sheets in each package. You go to the next slide, same type of
Excuse
package.
me. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're not seeing the slides. We're still on the first one.
Yeah, it says I'm sharing.
Catching up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with. Skip.
The screen,
No.
share.
No, hang on, we're gonna do this. Keeps on moving. I think I have this as a primary screen. And you know what? Try this again.
I think if you share screen too.
Yeah, well, it's right. Yeah, try that.
And then hit the thing,
This. Here, sorry, of course I have it. This one. Yep. Used to using F5. Now you get.
ask the question. If Peter can see it.
Peter, can you see it now?
Yes, well, yes. Yes.
Or I'm just. Okay. Sorry. So we've been through, that was the sheets. Let's move forward. Same for Stanton. And then what we wanted to identify is since that submission, back in March, end of March, this committee voted a series of recommended value engineering options. And the team worked hard, and that team, CSG, Downs, DRA, and our consultants to hit the items that were identified by the committee. If you go to the next screen, I will not go through any numbers because Downs has an update to all this. Suffice it to say, we got to those numbers. So, we're reporting it here as 3.8 or 5.5 or 9.4 aggregate. These guys will give you the actual numbers, but we hit the value targets that were set back in March to lower the cost of the project through value engineering.
Just a quick question, is that, not making light of this, but is that why you kind of coughed when Mark said value engineering? Because you're really saying that has already been done.
No, I honestly, before, when we were talking 4 million on a 385 million with a lot of projected costs.
Yeah.
I have a cost estimator that's about 1.2 lower than these guys, but when you take it across many millions of dollars, those numbers fluctuate. So, $4 million projected downstream is a tough thing to think about. Really getting down to the, excuse it, the gnat's ass, Anyway, but I just wanted to say.
Estimating in its nature is kind of conservative. And it should be.
It is, and it should be. Yeah, no, these guys aren't paid to be low bid. That's either cost estimator. The hope is people will, press it lower ultimately. I just wanted to try to provide something to say we took it seriously, we worked hard at it collectively, and we think we've reflected it in the product that's produced as part of the design development package. So if you go to the next slide, I'll get away from numbers, inland wetlands and the commission on the city plan. If you go to the next slide, we did present prior to our last meeting, inland wetlands. CCP was coming up later in that week. And this was the Stanton submission. If you go one more, Mark, this was the submission at Greenville. And then one more, we did receive approval letters, both from inland wetlands as well as CCP. So those two are behind us, set aside, and we're moving forward. We do have some typical language relative to things that we have to pay attention to as we go forward. And then if you hit the next slide, the last area, I just wanted to try to give a sense of site exploration. we've invested a lot in knowing more about these sites. So there's two areas. Phase 2 site evaluation, that has to do with environmental assessment. And this is the report. It's still in progress. But just as a capsulization, there are some things to pay attention to, but they're not significant. It's not going to bust us in terms of budget looking forward. So this is good information for us to have. It was a good investment to have in hand. It helps the cost estimators, or it will help them continue to sharpen their pencils when they think about the site. The next slide. This has to do with subsurface investigation. This diagram captures a series of points, and they include borings, test pits, auger probes, and seismic refraction lines. This is all at the Greenville site, and it's all to help us understand better the nature of the condition of the site. So if we go to the next slide, this is that type of reporting, gives you the location of the either boring log or retaining wall or site, the type of feet, where it is it in the building, is it in a retaining wall, is it in the landscape or stormwater, existing ground elevation, proposed elevation, cut or fill, depth of refusal, refusal elevation, and then subsurface condition notes. Again, trying to build kind of the understanding of what the site's about. You go to the next slide. So in this slide, we're focusing on the test pits that were done, and there were two groups of them done. First group was done in January. We just finished up a second round in May. It's off the screen, but total 22 of these were done. So it's a pretty significant number. If you go to the next slide, this is a sample of the type of information that we get out of this report. So taking one of those 22 test pits, this is S2, which is that location, S2. It tells us what the ground elevation is, and then in terms of the test pit, how far, how deep, and where groundwater might be encountered, and what's the nature of the soils as we get down through that test pit. So we have that times 22 points throughout the site to help us better understand the nature of the site. You go to the next slide. Another type of testing that was done. These are probe augers. Many of these are done by hand. There are 10 of them. They're highlighted in light blue. These were done typically in areas of retaining walls because you could get in there and actually get that information. If you go to the next slide, it's a sampling of what you find from it. So highlighting this retaining wall location with this, it gives you the ground surface elevation, the depth of exploration, the refusal, and then a description of the types of soils encountered.
What's refusal? Forgive my
Get to rock, can't go further.
Okay, perfect.
So then the last one, and this is where the, one more slide, this is where the greatest amount of information was gathered. We have 52 total. These are boring logs. They're done in two colors. We have them in green, which represents January, and again in May, 43 more. They're prefaced by BS or RW, building, site, or retaining wall. As I said, 52 in total. It's a good sampling, and it's across all the important portions of the site. If you go to the next slide, this is a sampling of one of them. This one's labeled B16, boring B16. It gives you the base information of in depth, how far they've gone. So this one goes down to refusal at 16 feet deep. But it tells you a foot before that, you get to weathered bedrock. Before that, glacial till, groundwater at 6 feet deep, silty sand and subsurface up. It's that again, times over 50 applications of it, but a good understanding of what's underneath. If you go to the next slide, there's also a photo log, and these are typically taken at the retaining wall location. So these examples are retaining wall 12, retaining wall 13. We knew there was rock there. We wanted to know what the condition of the rock was. And this is still an analysis, but the good news is there's a lot of solid rock. Well, good and bad news. We kind of joked about it in the thing. It's hard, it's rock, but it's rock that we think we can use in terms of getting rid of some of the wall necessary in the site. Go to the next slide. Seismic, these are the seismic refraction lines. So this technique, instead of more borings, was establishing seismic lines. This seismic line, for instance, is about 250 feet in length. Every 5 feet, they put a probe on it. They set a charge. They were able then to record the seismic response, and it basically bounces off the rock and returns the signal. So as I said, we have 7 of these lines. There's probably 4 of them is 1,000. You almost have 2,000 linear feet of information. If you go to the next slide, using this sampling, seismic line 6, as I said, that one's about 250 feet long. So this entire table is all line 6, the actual coordinates of where it is, what the station point is, bedrock depth, subsurface elevation, bedrock elevation. And if you go to the next, they take that and then interpolate it so you can actually see through the site. So the work that's being done now is to overlay the cuts that we're doing in the site and see where we're going to intersect the bedrock. We also have overlay lines. This is seismic line 7 that comes through in this direction. They're able to look at the two and just cross-check them, make sure they're reading similarly. So next slide gives you just an overall reporting. The reds are depth in feet, upwards of 17 feet until you get to bedrock. The blues and purples get down to 4 and 5 feet to get down to bedrock, but it gives you kind of a sense of the site, where the shallow bedrock is and where the deeper is. Again, this is in process. It has to be overlaid with what's our cuts on the site to establish where we're going to be relative to these elevations.
And so the color image is a 90-degree rotation from the image.
It is.
All right, just.
Thank a bunch of consultants. Should have a north arrow. Actually, we do. North arrow up. That one should have a north arrow.
So how are we, do we not have any preliminary ideas on the retaining wall situation, or yes?
Well, we do through the cost estimation, and it's just working again. They didn't have all this information available, but we had some information available because we did work back in January. So both cost estimators have been working with that to try to move forward. This has been in play since early spring, where we're trying to develop this additional information, but we hope to have this, this report has been sent out to both cost estimators, but it was right before the budgeting. It wasn't really.
So
is there hope, is what I'm saying.
Fair to say that in the red and the green zones, more likely to hit bedrock that can be pinned to versus having to continue to excavate to get.
That's a very positive way to say it. Yes.
I'm a teacher, I gotta find positive ways to say it.
But it's true. Yes. And I think that's the last of what we had for you this evening. Yeah.
When do we have any ideas to when we'll have an idea from, as far as cost estimations on the need for retaining walls and stuff, and any cost savings we could?
That's a good segue. I'll let you.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, if you guys got that, then we'll just wait for that. Okay. Let's we do this. Get out of this. We bring yours up, Joe.
Oh, Jim, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
giving us a good heads up on the beginning of this. The
So
whole
you got
process.
there's two files here.
Yeah, one was a Blue Beam or a PDF, and one
Oh,
was PowerPoint. I didn't know which.
What do you
one
want to do?
you'd like.
What do you want?
PowerPoint would be probably better. Now, we worked hard through this past 3 or 4 weeks with the drawings that DRA has provided. They did a great job with a lot of information there. As you saw, the amount of pages that he had helped us be able to fine tune our numbers and get to the point where we're at right now. You can go on to the next slide. What we wanted to do is kind of give first a little recap of where we were from the SD to where we got now at the design development stage. And then talk through some of the value management and then share with you where we are currently right now with the budget. When we first started off on Stanton, our schematic budget, we came in at $73 million. That's about $7.5 million over budget. Oh, there we go. As you recall, I tried to summarize where we were with the value management process. Did not want to get into every detail of everything. Jim showed that a little bit ago, and we can go into more of that with you. The VE that they put together. I have to give him another bit of heads up. We work with a lot of architects who miss a lot of the VE going through the process and putting it in the process, into the documents. DRA did a great job with that information. We were able to, again, fine tune the numbers. Our goal was $4.1 million to cut out of the project by changing different items, eliminating items. That was the target we were shooting. On Greenville, of course, that'd be the next slide. It was a little bit more of a challenge. A lot of it was definitely related to the site work conditions that we're having to go through with rock, to the extra exploration that we had to go through, which we just talked about. Came in originally at $22 million over budget. Through the VE process, we tried to get $3.5 million out of this. Next slide. So here we are today. First column is the schematic budget, anticipating $4.1 million in reduction to get us to a total construction number of $58.1 million. The additional soft costs and everything brought that down to $69.5 million and about 3.4. That's again taking into account that we would include all the value management process. During that time, there's always a lot of consultants involved. We've taken wild guesses to try to make sure we assume the numbers to our best of our knowledge we could be achievable. Once engineers start getting involved, we start relaying out different parts of the building. This other things get affected. So we always try to hit that target, don't always do it. However, with what we went through on this, we reduced a little bit of the square footage. Our new number, including all the value management items, which are above in our estimate, we were able to get down to $57.4 million for the construction costs, which is about $622,000 under what we were trying to achieve with the value management. So overall, with the soft costs, which we were able to make some changes in that with bond costs and also the utility costs coming into the project. So right now, Stanton, we're sitting about $2 million over budget. Somebody mentioned earlier about value engineering and value management. That does not stop. We've been going real hard through this process. We actually reconciled these this past Thursday and Friday and put all the information together yesterday in time to be here today. So that process has not stopped and we're still working through it. So we're working through some more to try to get more of those items. Some of those items, again, were discussed during the process, which could also be considered alternates as we go through. If we're still kind of unsure if we want to accept, we can always put an alternate into the project to see at the end of the day, when we get GMP numbers, if that's something.
Well, I know we had a list of maybes, so.
And that, those are some of the other items. And I believe that was what, maybe about 1.4 or something like that. Yes. So we feel, Stanton's in a very good place. Yes, we'll stop right there with Stanton. Any questions on it?
Wish we could.
Yeah, I'm not doing the, saving the, I didn't show the best first. I think we did well on Greenville. All right, yes. Any questions on Stanton? All right, hit the next button to go to Greenville. Greenville, for one, the building increased just slightly, and I think it was due more or less to some of the healthcare area and working around some of those, I guess, joint services, city-related things we had to need to put into the project. With that, however, we are a little bit over. We didn't quite hit our VE target. We're about 600,000 over on that. Some of the reasons that did go up, we do have a traffic light that is having to be put in on Boswell that had to add some extra costs in there for that. There were some other site-related items, and one of the items that probably affected it the most was with the soils report that we did receive, with that harder rock that we're going to have to dig through, the price went up a little bit. But also want to, balance that out with, we're still carrying the $2.7 million retaining wall number. We still don't know what those are. So hopefully with that harder rock, we'll be able to reduce some of the costs in the retaining wall. So there's still some unknowns there, but we wanted to be,
My first question
would be helpful in the budget. So, unfortunately, with the cuts that we did have for the soft costs and all that, we're essentially about the same spot we were. But again, these were taken in that anticipated value management. Go to the next slide. It's basically a duplicate of what Jim was showing. However, I think he may have used Ken's numbers on that. We wanted to go with our numbers since those are the kind of the official numbers on this. Again, Stanton, we're showing we came in under budget, or I guess beat the value engineering that we were attempting by 600,000. Washed out on Greenville. Overall, we're $5,000 more than what we were anticipating at this time. And that's including approximately $700,000 of items that we did not know about at the SD.
Let's hope for stone.
Is there anything, any questions we could help clarify? Yes, sir.
So overall, say Greenville site, with the ground depth. Is that helping you planning for excavation, blasting, whatnot?
It gives us a little more information right now with the reports we have. To be honest with you, the engineers will dig in a little bit more and give us the scientific answers. I mean, I'm sort of like Mike with county kids to do the structural engineering. I am not. So we really need to get them involved. I know they're starting to work on all those items right now. Anticipating by the time we get the CD drawings, we'll have designed retaining walls and understand exactly where all this rock is. Again, this information came out the Friday before we finalized our estimate. So it was a quick analysis of it, talking to our earthwork contractors that were looking at this number for us, along with Jim's estimator, and he had his own earthwork contractor as well to price this out. Just kind of update on that between our two estimates, between DRA's estimator and ourselves, we were 1.2 to 1.5 difference in our estimates when we do the reconciliation. Which if y'all understand the reconciliation process, we sit in the room for 2 days going through every line item in the estimate, arguing back and forth about quantities, unit costs, looking at drawings, verifying. It's a double check upon each of us, and we both make changes to our estimate that we agree on what the bottom line number should be.
Angel site, you're happier, it's harder rock.
I'm sorry.
Are you happier, it's harder rock? And
I just chime in, I think that what you were saying, that as the design develops, for the retaining walls, but we don't fully have yet. Because of that rock, it's likely that some of those retaining walls will not be required. So that allowance that we carry, hopefully is coming down. By the time we get to CP, and to positively impact. Right now, we haven't reflected that yet, because we don't have full information.
And then on the, was there ground analysis done for the standard site? Not really.
There wasn't really a need.
Yeah, there's not the need. We did have the geotech on it, but we.
Initial, yeah. There's nothing like the
Well,
maps Jim was presenting.
January
Yeah.
study, Stanton answer.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there was borings and tests, I forgot. Sorry.
yeah, because I mean, one side you're building on a rock cliff, the other side you're building on potential
swamp.
wetland, it's a swamp, so you.
Former glacier.
I mean, your design thoughts and building processes will have to be different for schools.
I mean, I don't want to call it still a swamp, but the land technically is classified as a swamp.
Any other questions?
One question, Mark, which is, we had several, I'll call them significant items and some small ones left as pending from the value engineering.
Right,
What-
we just
so is
were
it-
talking about that. So.
that I apologize if I missed that. Okay, so we've come through all those.
Yeah, no, those are things we'll have to revisit.
Yeah, we'll be revisiting those. These are just reflecting the items that were.
Okay.
And we have all those in our files as well, and we'll pull those out. We'll start going through that. We're also looking through additional items that we could possibly put out there as well. Again, like we talked about, really no item is off the table, but we put it before and make that decision.
Yeah, so like we said, it's Stan, I think there's 1.4 million left
I
there,
believe it was that.
somewhere around, and I forget what Greenville was.
And there's still more options that could be considered.
So it'll be a ongoing process. Obviously, you know, we don't really want to spend more than we need to, but we also need to take care of the district, and we don't want to build schools that, you know, not going to. Anyone else for Chip? All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Chip. And here I'll bring it back. This so let's we move on. Discussion potential action on any proposed scope changes if needed. All right. I did receive the referral today from the city council on the two ordinances. If you want to talk about that, we can, but at this point, we do need some more information, I think, before we can really move forward on those proposals. If we need to go, so the two proposals, one that the mayor presented was to change the scope and eliminate teachers, I think, here.
Teachers and the administration.
And the administration, but so
For
just
now.
do the- and just do the four, well, we'd actually, yeah, it's elimination, because it's not gonna be part of the project. So so we'd be doing the 4 elementary schools only, that's what
The
they're.
concern was not to miss construction season next year, if the numbers came in still high.
No, I get
Yeah,
it.
that's all.
We get it. We get it. The other issue, I know we submitted competing proposals to do the whole project with an increased number. So, those will be the two proposals that we'd have to look at. The problem we have on our, from the other proposal is that we don't really have a good number yet either. So, we put a $50 million placeholder on it, but that's not gonna be, we're pretty sure now, that's not gonna be the number. So it may be a very small amount. We may be able to make this work, considering the situation with Huntington, that we build a new school and not do any, and not make anything. So we come in that 385. So, we will have an agreement tomorrow, I guess, for the peer review for the demographer. And they were saying a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think they had 2 weeks in there.
Yeah,
Continue.
That's what I read.
Don't, obviously, once they get into the data, they just took a quick glance because I wanted to get them
Right.
going. So,
Okay.
I'll be in touch with them and we'll get Susan involved with any discussions that need to happen.
Perfect. All right, so, I mean, that's where I think we're at right now. What I plan on, once we have some more information, if ever, unless somebody wants to, chime in on that, then I'd schedule a special meeting for the committee. We could probably just do that on Zoom. And have that discussion regarding where we're gonna move forward, if a change needs to be made. So if we come in where, okay, we're pretty sure we're at the number, then I'm not sure we even need a special meeting. So we're talking about a new school, but
Just a question, based on what you said. If you're not doing anything with Huntington. Since that was part of.
no. Reduce the scope of Huntington.
Okay.
That's all. No, we
Yeah.
have to do something with Huntington.
Yeah,
So, but it doesn't necessarily have to be 25 minutes.
no, agreed.
Yeah.
Always agreed.
Right. So
I understand.
I'm gonna go down there and paint myself. And- So. All right, so if everyone's okay with that, we're gonna skip discussion on, any more discussion on that, unless somebody wants to say something. We're gonna pause the session. Yeah, we need more information.
Makes sense.
Correct. Yeah, there is a window. I am certainly aware, I am aware of the window. So,
Window is.
and the window is, so, and certainly, we're gonna talk, those of us in the council and stuff are gonna discuss some of this because, if you get to the point where, okay, we know we're gonna be able to get there, or we're reasonably sure we're gonna be able to get there, then, you won't need the ordinance. My hope. So, with that, consent agenda. So I have not gotten anything from Downs in a while, so I think I did the one set. It'll come for this one.
Yeah, about simple about media experience.
Did you? All right,
About 2 weeks ago, right before the,
I did not see
I think
any.
we've only processed invoice 1 and 2.
Yep.
Was there a 3 from you?
there was a brief, last week, we can have to.
I did not see anything. Did you send it to Mike? Okay. I'm gonna suggest that, in the future, if you send it to Mike, because I want him to review them anyway, obviously, but let's see. Not that I'm great at catching everything, but between the two of us, I think. My phone is dead, but
It's on me.
if you can get it up, we can add it to the, well, we'll just do it separately.
All right, I can give you the amounts or I can
Yeah.
forward them. I'm gonna give you the
Yeah,
amounts.
let's do the amount, well, wait, hang on a second, right now, let's do the consent agenda, the invoices for CSG and DRA. Does anyone want to remove any of the items? Hearing on the motion to pass the consent agenda, which is in order.
I'll make the motion to pass consent agenda.
From Mark Poulos, did I get a second, please?
There are no bills on here that I can see from SLR. But SLR, there were 2 bills
So there are,
included in the package that we received.
yeah. So
So
the professional services one will go to the city. directly. And then there's some are,
There should be no invoice from SLR that's being billed directly to the city. It's all going through DRA. So there should be
like that.
yeah, I'm working with Jim and his team to try and clean up the billing thing to make it a little bit different, just so that the cover sheet reflects all the PSS work, so then it'll just be easier to follow. Because what they've been doing is they've been putting a cover sheet on every one of the PSS invoices, and I mistook that was
That's what
that was the invoice, and I didn't have you sign them. That was again on me, because I didn't realize what it was, but
So
I
do
have
we
them.
not need to do the PSS?
You do need to do the PSSs. Okay, standing PSS 1 is good at 35.49.48. Standing PS 2 is good at 45.45.38. PSS 4 for Stanton is also good,
So we gotta do the PSS.
right?
It's Greenville's the same. There's only two for Greenville. It's again, the same thing, there's no billing from Mr. Carey.
Should be 30,
This street is Greenville.
30, 31,
But like that.
3190,
Right.
125
Is
is
it 1
good.
through 4?
32, 252,
I don't
92
know
is
the
good.
jump.
And 7, yeah, they're all good. I have them all here, Stacy, if you'd like to see them.
I have them all here.
Okay.
I was asking about SLR.
The SLR invoice is backup that supports the DRA cover page. So the consultant invoices DRA, and then DRA sends an invoice because we don't have a contract with SLR, we only have a contract with DRA.
All right, so the consent agenda is as is. So we have did somebody who made a
I
motion?
made the motion, you need a second.
Second, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and then I asked the question.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
About this.
all right, all in favor, Peter? I said yes, Sheila Hayes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Bill Hall.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Greg. Yes. And Greg Gillespie. Mark Rulo.
Yes.
Joe. Greg. Mark, yes. Unanimous. I think we've covered a lot of ground, folks. So is
Mark.
there anything else before we gotta do,
We have the down choices for the,
so anything else we brought before the
It's
committee?
gonna be- I'm gonna read it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Downs invoice number 0004 for Stanton dated July 3rd, 2024 in the amount of $32,609.67. That's
That's Stanton.
$32,609.67. That's
Okay.
Stanton. Then we have Greenville invoice number 0004 dated July 3rd, 2024 in the amount of $32,609.67.
Like that.
That's $32,609.67.
I like symmetry.
Going forward. Yeah. Numbers for your numbering scheme because it impacts the municipal accounting system.
Yeah,
They're the
just,
same number.
yeah,
for
just
the
have,
scheme.
have a conversation and,
I have that one with PRA, but I haven't had it here yet.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve those two invoices? I know we haven't had one from Downs in a while, $32,609.67 from both Stanton and Greenville. Invoice number 4 each. Maker by Greg, second by Joe DeLucia. Any discussion?
Yeah.
I know we
those
don't have
have to be included.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, absolutely.
None of this ad stuff.
Well,
They're not there, we don't.
It wasn't,
That's all
yeah, no.
You're right,
But here's this kind
my.
this time, you know, and I feel the same way about it, but, you know, because of, it wasn't their oversight, it was Mike's, but he's busy.
$15 million, 32,000.
So, all right, so,
Just to be proper, could we amend the agenda to include those?
I'm including this under anything else we brought before the meeting.
Correct.
So that was the one piece. So, all right, Sheila,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Cindy, Stacy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Greg, me, yes. That's approved. You'll have to get me to sign at some point. All right. And, okay. And we'll deal with that. All right. Forward those to me too for my stuff.
Right, I'm gonna, if you download those, I can give them to you however you want. That every one of these invoices gets assembled into a payment package, that goes to the state.
Right.
And then every
I'm
dollar.
just saying,
Yeah,
because I haven't seen.
Yeah.
You know,
I have them all saved, I
All
can get you all of them.
So, is there any other business to be brought before? Good, Peter.
Just, based on the pause, and waiting for the rest of the information, from the market. When that information comes in a Zoom meeting, and that results in a new product. In a recommendation from this body, that has to go to the Board of Ed first. And not the council. And then the council receive it from the Board of Ed.
Correct.
The bond council is in fact, has to follow the original board.
So,
Okay.
I'm hoping.
I agree.
So I'll need at least 48 hours notice so that we could post this stuff at the meeting.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right, it'll be sometime in August, I mean, you could set.
Yeah, well,
You could set it now for like August 24th or whatever.
Well,
Well,
they have the 19th, don't you?
The 19th is the second council meeting, right? So that's the first date at which we would take action. September 3rd is the last date that we can take action.
I'm hoping that you don't have to take any action.
We're hoping so too, but we gotta stay in that window.
I want no action, that's all I want, no action.
Well, we won't have a choice.
Yeah.
all right, so, I'm certainly aware of the timeframe, so. And, we will talk some more about, me and Mike are in pretty regular contact these days. And certainly, that's gonna continue.
You're taking the 24th.
I was not throwing on.
It should be before that.
Well, let's hope it's at least a week.
Mark, you'll probably have 72 hours versus 48. I don't like that many.
Right.
I'm hoping that we have this demographer information by the end of the month, very end of the month. So if we have it, then we'll have a better idea of where we stand. So at that point, and we'll have enough time to figure it out. If there's anything else to be brought before the committee, speak up or forever hold your peace. Thank you very much. By Stacy, second by Cindy. No discussion, no motion to adjourn. Peter,
Yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Cindy, Stacy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe, Greg, myself, yes. We stand adjourned at 8:23 PM. Thank you very
Good
much.
night.